And welcome back to Aftershock Wrestling Entertainment. Welcome back to the Allcast. I am your host, Brant Fowler, and we're going to talk about those AEW Double or Nothing results and which predictions I got right, which predictions I got wrong. Before we get into that, I do want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all our veterans and current servicemen and women for your service. And also, I want to remind you that if you want to find past episodes of the Allcast, you can find it on YouTube at allpodcast.com. That's AWE podcast.com. Or you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for the audio version, where you can go straight to our Simplecast page, which is right there. And you can also follow us at the Allcast across social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and get notifications and updates from that. And also you can subscribe to our newsletter at subscribepage.com/free AEW comic, and you can get a free fan-made AEW comic just for signing up by creator Todd Black. So with all that said, let's get into these results. Now, before I do that as well, I want to remind you that there are spoilers here. So if you have not seen AEW Double or Nothing and you care about being spoiled, go watch that first before you watch this. And also, if you'd like to know what my predictions actually were, the last full episode of the Allcast is where I talk about that. It's titled AEW Double or Nothing 2022 Predictions. You can go find that on any of those sources that I just talked about and listen to some of my intricate, detailed predictions on some of these matches, which I'm pretty proud of. Some of those I got pretty right. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. This is not going to be a long episode, and I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time on this. But I will put it out there right now that out of the 13 matches, including the one match on the buy-in, out of the 13 matches, I got 10 correct. And 2 of the ones that I got incorrect, I was iffy on. Actually, one of them I was really torn on, and one of them I had come up with this convoluted theory of what could happen, which almost did. And then the third one that I got wrong, I just straight up got it wrong. I'll admit that. So let's go through these. Obviously, the first match of the night was the buy-in match, which was Hookhausen versus Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling tag match. And as predicted, Danhausen takes some beatings. Hookhausen makes the hot tag, comes in, and of course they walk away with the victory. That was an easy one. That was a layup for basketball fans out there. And so yeah, I got that one correct. Next up, we got Wardlow versus MJF. This was a culmination of a long storyline. I'm not going to go into all that. You guys have watched it. You're right. AEW fans, if you're listening to this podcast, most likely. And this was a long time coming. Wardlow finally, after MJF dodges him for a while, finally gets his hands on him, nails him with 10 power bombs, walks away with that victory. So Wardlow wins. That is another win for me, right? The next match, I believe I got this one right, was the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. And this was a dream match. They talked about it on commentary. They had fought twice before, a regular match and a ladder match, and this was kind of the rubber match. Each team had won one, so this was a rubber match, and the Hardys walked away with the victory after this, after taking every possible move and combination move that the Young Bucks could come up with, could dish out, dole out, and every single person in that match taking some brutal shots, including Brandon Cutler, taking several massively brutal shots himself. The Hardys walk away with the victory on this. And not surprising. It really could have gone either way, and you could make sense out of either way. But, yeah, the Hardys took this one. So another one for me. That's 3 for 3. And I was pretty happy. I think the first 6 matches I got correct. Back-to-back. So next one was Jade Cargill versus Anna Jay for the TBS Championship. And at first I was like torn. This could go either way. But my caveat with this one was if Jade Cargill wins, somebody debuts and comes out and becomes her next challenger. And if Anna Jay wins, then you have Jade chasing the title. But I was kind of certain. I kind of left that up in the air. It was kind of ambiguous, but I'm going to take it as a win because of what happened post-match, which was, of course, Jade Cargill won, but Anna Jay had put up a great match. The chemistry was a little bit off between the two. But both of them were very, very much improved, and it was a solid match. But the thing that happened afterwards is a debut, Athena, which you may know her from her WWE name, which was Ember Moon. And she made her debut. It was just a kind of a face-off with Chris Statlander, Anna Jay, and Ember Moon against the baddies. Nothing really happened, but the writing's on the wall there. You've got Athena versus Jade, two goddesses basically. She comes in under the gimmick, the fallen goddess Athena, and versus Jade Cargill, who Storm is brewing, and comes out in the X-Men Storm garb occasionally, and so it's kind of a dream match. I can't wait to see that match actually. And Athena could be the one to finally take that title off of Jade. We'll see. So then we have the House of Black versus Death Triangle, and this match was, just hard hitting, all over the place. Everybody had their spots, of course. There was a joke that Brody King at one point, he did a dive over the ropes, and I think JR was the one that said he took the ring apron out with him. And Brody King actually tweeted after the match, "Life's hard, ring aprons are harder." And I thought that was pretty funny. It was a little bit of a botch, but he sold it anyway, and it was fine. But everybody in that match just pulled out every single stop. But the interesting thing about this one was one of the ones I was really proud of. And yes, it is a little bit predictable in this because they have been kind of building up to it. But I predicted that the House of Black was going to win by Julia Hart finally joining their side, interfering and costing Death Triangle the match. And that is exactly what happened. So I was pretty happy with myself on that one, even though it wasn't kind of an easy prediction. But yeah, I predicted that one, and that's exactly what happened. So there you go. That's your winner's House of Black, and it was a really good match. So, and then we have the two Owen Hart Foundation tournament finals, first the men's and then the women's. Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. I had predicted Adam Cole winning this one. I gave reasons why either one could win this. And this was one of those dream matches. It's like these two guys could have fought in NXT, but they never did. And they never fought anywhere else either. They've been in the same place at the same time multiple times and have never faced each other. And this match was, by all rights, a dream match. And it lived up to that hype. It was a really solid match. Joe looked the best he had in a long time, I think. Adam Cole was just Adam Cole, and there was a lot of false finishes, a lot of missed finishing moves, big signature moves kicked out of or escaped from in terms of submissions and all that kind of thing. And ultimately, though, Bobby Fish did interfere, which I also predicted, and cost Joe the match, basically. I predicted either Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal or Bobby Fish or somebody from the Undisputed Elite was going to interfere, and that's what happened. And Adam Cole walks away with the victory, and he's the first winner of the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament. And then things go a little south for me. My first miss, which was Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Ruby Soho for the finals of the women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. And I had gone, this was the one that I was really torn on. I had argued that it would be really cool to have Cole and Baker together winning this thing, and then you could have them the king and queen of hearts and, parading that around and just makes them even more arrogant and cocky. But Ruby came in hot, then was on this losing streak, and it would make sense to put the rocket ship on her and, send her up. And so I was really torn, but crunch time, I said, okay, I'm just going to pick Cole and Soho. That's what we're going with. And I should have followed my instincts and picked Dr. Britt Baker. But yeah, so Ruby Soho, it was a cool match. Both of them came out with live music. The guitarist from Fozzy came out with Britt Baker playing her out, and then the entire band of Rancid came out and played the Ruby Soho song. So that was kind of cool. This was a better match between the two than the first match that they had, I thought. And at times the fans were cheering for both of them, booing both of them. It was really great back and forth. You could see the chemistry between these two had grown and evolved, and I wouldn't mind seeing these two wrestle again. But ultimately, Britt Baker pulled out the victory. It's unintentional, but yeah, it was a victory roll that Ruby Soho did that Britt Baker reversed to get the win. So it was basically a roll-up win, no cheating involved, which was interesting. And so, yeah, your Owen Hart Foundation winners are Adam Cole and Britt Baker. They kissed on the rampway and then had a really nice presentation by Dr. Martha Hart, which is the widow of the late, great Owen Hart, and got presented with these, commemorative belts. They're not belts to be defended, but they're just kind of these championship belts for winning the tournament and the Owen Cup. And we do know that tournament is coming back again, and everybody's supposed to wear fancy hats. But it was nice. It was heartfelt, touching, emotional moment. And you could see that it actually really meant a lot to Adam and Britt. So that was really cool to see them win. But yeah, that was my first botch pick. Next up, we had American Top Team, which was Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, teaming up with Paige Van Zant versus Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, and Frankie Kazarian. And this, I mean, you could see the way that this was going to go when Sammy and Ty came out, because they rose from the stage and they're dressed like Disney villains, and it's just like, okay, they're just owning this completely. And throughout the match, they're just like stopping and making out all the time. And Frankie's getting mad at them. He almost walks out on them, throws them to the wolves, lets them get beat up and everything. And halfway through the match, I'm like, okay, yeah, I was definitely right on this. I picked American Top Team. I thought they were going to win. But then I was reminded of the stipulation that if they did win, that Frankie and Sammy could never challenge for the TNT Championship again. And I was like, oh, I'd totally forgotten about that when I made my prediction. So now I'm torn. I don't know who's going to win this. But I was like, but it just doesn't make sense for Sammy to be able to win. And there was, like, at the end of the match, or towards the end of the match, Frankie had this little burst where it looked like he might actually just pull it off and then, beat the crap out of Sammy for basically leaving him high and dry. But ultimately, the American Top Team did win, and so my prediction stands. But it also means Sammy and Frankie can't challenge for that title anymore. So, next challenger, Dante Martin is he stepped up to the challenge. Excuse me, and he's going to challenge Scorpio Sky on Dynamite. So that should be really interesting. All right, so then we have Kyle O'Reilly versus Darby Allin. I talked about this as well. These two were so evenly matched, and I talked about how, Kyle is much more of a technical wrestler, and Darby is much more throw everything at the wall, but both of them can do the other thing. So they showed that here. Both of them were just so evenly matched throughout the entire contest. It was really solid, and they were countering each other, and Kyle was really good catching Darby several times out of the air into a submission, both inside the ring and outside the ring. There was one botch where I think they tried to cover it up, and they never showed the replay of it, but I think Kyle was out of position, and Darby was trying to do his kamikaze dive thing. And apologize if that's not a proper term to use anymore, but that dive that he does, that just looks brutal. And Kyle was a little too far away, so Darby flipped and hit him with his legs, and I was really kind of concerned about them, but they bounced back from that. But ultimately, I felt like Darby didn't need to win. He never needs to win to be over. Kyle kind of needs to win a little bit more, and Kyle won here, and so I called that one as well. So next match, we got the women's title. Thunder Rosa defending against Serena Deeb. And, man, these two women showed that they really do deserve to be in this position. They were just I don't know. Their mat wrestling was top notch. There were some really fun spots in the match as well. Like Thunder Rosa did this crab move where she kind of she reversed into it where she was on top of Serena, who was on her stomach, and she had her legs like stretched out and was pulling Serena's arms, and then she stood up with it and did that whole crab walk and like swinging her, and then she like swinging her side to side, and then she just transitions from submission move to submission move. There was some high flying, high impact stuff going on as well, but ultimately Thunder Rosa, it was some great counter wrestling throughout this whole match, but yeah, ultimately Thunder Rosa defended successfully and is still your AEW Women's Champion. So the one that I just called wrong was the Anarchy in the Arena match. And man, the one thing I did say, this is just going to be crazy. And it was kind of funny because Justin Roberts, like he started to introduce the match, and he just paused and said, stuff's about to hit the fan. And it was just funny. And they just came through the crowd, and they just fought through the crowd for most of the match up in the stands. It got bloody. It got nasty. It was hard hitting. There was barbed wire involved. At one point, Eddie Kingston was about to just literally light Chris Jericho on fire, and probably Bryan Danielson too, and which caused a brawl between those two, even though they were on the same team. I thought Eddie Kingston's team would win, but ultimately they broke down, and because of that altercation between those two, Jericho and I think Hager were able to get the jump on Bryan Danielson, and they were able to take him out and win the match. But you need to go watch this match. As the announcing team put it, we thought we'd seen it all with Stadium Stampede. Nah, it was something to behold, but don't watch it if you got a weak stomach. Is all I'm gonna say. There were some botches throughout it, which you can expect when you're fighting in the crowd and you're doing crazy things and blood loss and all that stuff. But all in all, I thought it was a fun time. And then we had the tag titles, the triple threat. This one I got wrong too, but this was the one that I had this convoluted prediction of, which almost came to pass. Now, first and foremost, this was a really good match. And the way that they split it up between these three teams, every single person in that match got to shine multiple times. I'll also say I hope Ricky Starks is okay. There was one time where he took a dive and it didn't land right, and he landed on his head, and he's had neck issues before that took him out for months. So I really hope that he's okay. He seemed to be okay. He bounced back and he finished the match strong. Even took a few more bumps on his head. So I think he's probably okay, but it looked bad when it happened. So I know everybody was concerned about that. But every combination was thrown out here. Every person in this match was a star, and every one of them was deserving of the spot. It was really a really great match. My theory was that Ricky Starks was going to pin Jungle Boy, and Christian was going to turn on Jungle Boy because he lost again. And they almost teased this. They almost foreshadowed it when at one point Christian got taken out and Jungle Boy was checking on him, and Christian was like waving at him like, don't worry about me, go win the match. And he almost, as soon as he got in the ring, he got speared by Ricky Starks. I'm like, oh my God, my prediction is coming true right now. And then they just went a different way. Jurassic Express ended up successfully retaining the titles. So my theory did not come to pass, but it was very, very close. I might even give myself half a point for that. But oh man, if that had happened, I'd been like, man, I should just, I should be doing this professionally or something. I don't know. I'm joking. I'm totally joking. But yeah, it was just a really good match, and it could have gone any way. And I think any of these three teams winning would have been just fine. So, and then that leaves us with the world title match, which I also predicted correctly, even though I'm kind of sad about it. CM Punk defeated Hangman Adam Page finally for the AEW World Championship. And I say finally because it didn't look like it was going to go that way. Hangman basically led the match. He dominated for a good portion of it. There was a lot of back and forth at the beginning, and Punk was at the beginning of the match. He was in classic form. It was like, okay, finally CM Punk is CM Punk. But then, his age and his ring rust showed a little bit. I think we can all agree that CM Punk should never try the buckshot lariat ever again after two badly botched spots in this match. But Hangman does a really good GTS. But unfortunately, that wasn't enough to win the match for Hangman. And we also saw Hangman picked up the title at one point, and he thought about hitting CM Punk when the referee was knocked out, and he decided not to. And because he didn't, he lost the match. In that very instant, he got hit with a couple of counters, and then got hit with the GTS, and it cost him the match. So now I'm wondering if that's the beginning of a heel turn. It's like, well, I should have hit him with the dang belt. I would still be champion. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens going forward with these two. Obviously, this story isn't over, and we still don't know why exactly. Even the commentating team, the announce team, we're talking about that. We don't really know why he feels this way, or what the purpose of his anger is and all that towards CM Punk. So we still don't have the answer to that, which was one of the problems I had leading into this match. But hopefully going forward, if there is a rematch, we'll learn what he means by all this. The only clue we got was he said he knows what this place can be if CM Punk becomes champ. I mean, I guess we'll see what it's going to become because CM Punk's your champ. And so, yeah, I got 10 out of 13 right. I'm pretty happy with that number. I'll leave it to you whether that's me being really good at this or it's AEW being really predictable. I'll leave that up to you. But hopefully you enjoyed that, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Hot Takes via the Awcast. And you can definitely check out more of the Awcast at allpodcast.com, as I said earlier in the show. Channel. There we go. And you can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from, or check out our direct link to Simplecast right there. And you can sign up for the newsletter and get a free fan-made AEW comic from creator Todd Black. And you can follow me at social media on the Allcast. On social media at the Allcast. There we go. So with that said, thank you for watching. And until next time, keep watching wrestling and stay awesome.